That's such an epic intro.
It really is. It leaves me speechless.
Wow, it's been a while.
I know. I kind of forget how to do this whole thing.
Guys, welcome back to the podcast.
Welcome back, guys. It's been a minute, and we are so happy to be back. Today we're doing Angels and Airwaves, which is awesome and exciting. There's so much here that we were going to just do one episode per, like, side project, other project, whatever. But there's just way too much here for Ava. We're going to do every album like we are for Blink, and we're going to do it all chronologically.
Ava or AVA?
Oh, fuck. I'm going to get in so much trouble.
Well, I think that it's Ava.
We have both always said Ava. Since the beginning of time, we've said Ava. I made a video on our Instagram the other day, and I said Ava for 1 second. Like, the whole video was about Blink, but I said one Ava thing. And this commenter was like, "You are not a true fan if you say Ava. Oh my god, blah, blah, blah." Like, disgusted with me.
Huh.
And I don't know. That was the first time I realized, like, oh, people don't say Ava, I guess. And then I was like, determined to prove her wrong. I spent like hours like looking for videos of somebody else saying Ava. And even the Ava movement, like that, you know, the big Ava page.
Yeah.
And like, that's
there's
been
a lot
forever.
of.
They call it I like listen to their podcast. They call it the AVA movement too.
You know, so
I fucked up, I guess.
Well, here's my thing is I'll always call it Ava.
By the way, guys, he's from Florida. I'm from California. We both grew up saying Ava.
And that's
from different parts
of the country.
So we weren't like, you know, we're not in cahoots. We weren't, you know.
Yeah.
IM messaging back in the day, AIM messaging, whatever. We
didn't even know each other, yeah. So, yeah.
But anyway. I'll say Angels and Airwaves when I can. I don't want to piss you guys off, but just what do you guys call it? I'm curious.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, is what do you guys call it? But either way, We Don't Need to Whisper is the album we're doing today.
I'm so excited about it. Let's hop into some news. This is old news at this point, but I don't think we've mentioned it on the podcast yet. Mark's book is coming out in April next year with Dan Ozzie, who we've talked about a lot, who did the Sellout book. That is fucking awesome. Pre-order it if you haven't. It's going to be great. He said today on his Twitch stream, which might already have been a known thing, but he'll be doing the audiobook, which is fucking awesome. And can't wait for that. Oh, yeah, also, today he fucking live streamed on Twitch, which he hasn't done in so long.
Mark did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen that in a long time, so...
well, would you tell him what happened?
Well...
what happened?
I literally was the first commenter. Because I was watching someone else's stream, and I saw Mark was live, and I immediately was like, hi! First comment. And then I just started, like, fucking rapid fire asking him questions that were related to Blink, that were not related to Blink. The first question of mine he answered was, which do you like better, Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon? And he said early Game of Thrones, which is fair and probably the best answer.
So you basically talked to Mark Hoppus today.
Today I was just chatting it up.
Pretty sick. Pretty sick.
But that was fun. He'll do it every now and then, I guess, to do the crossword, the New York Times crossword. And I kept saying, "Do my Blink-182 crossword," and he was ignoring me. By the way, that's a new thing we're doing. I'm making crosswords because I love the New York Times games, and Mark does too. They're very fun. Daily games. So I made a Blink-themed one so far, and then also for this episode, I made an Ava-themed one. Check them out. They are in the highlights section of our Instagram.
And I think we're going to do it on the pod today, right? The one you just made?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
She's basically going to test me, and I'm probably going to fail miserably.
We'll see.
We'll find out, though.
We'll see. It's fun, though, guys. Try it. And let me know what you score. And then in other news, in Ava news, earlier this year, co-producer Aaron Rubin confirmed that the Ava live album exists, is mixed, mastered, and ready to go. This would have been recorded over the 2021 Lifeforms tour. And he said something about, like, it just kind of is dependent on, like, when Blink's done touring, which is now, so we should maybe see it in the future. Fans are excited about that. I'm excited about that. Personal news, what do you have going on?
Personal news, I'm finally feeling better. We weren't able to pod for a while because I got super sick, but my health is better now. I thought I was going to lose my eye, but Araya says it looks normal now, so that's good. Yeah. And we've just been doing a lot of band stuff, played the San Diego show, Long Beach, all that stuff. The shows were awesome. By the way, San Diego, we love you. That was one of our best shows yet, and I couldn't even believe how good it went. So no wonder why San Diego is such a great place.
I'm really glad they went well. The desert show looked fucking awesome.
Oh, the desert show was really cool too. Yeah. And yeah, I went to the Northern California, went to Vegas, made a lot of money on sports gambling. What have you been up to?
Same old, work, school. I'm about to be done with school.
Really?
Sort of.
Oh, okay.
Next year. Yeah, it's going to be my last quarter soon, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which will be exciting. That's pretty much it, guys.
We are just normal people that love Blink.
We are.
That's it.
Yeah.
You know, so.
I guess let's do a swag check real quick.
Oh, today, yeah, what are you wearing today?
I'm rocking my Block Party shirt that I got in the 4th grade, I believe, as a birthday present from my friend. It still fits me.
It must have been pretty big when you got it when you were younger? No? Okay.
Nope.
So you just the same size you were when you were in 4th grade?
Yeah, it was small, and it's small now, and I'm small now.
Wow. That's impressive.
We're gonna cut that.
I'm wearing Pink Floyd. I got this shirt when I was probably 15.
Nice.
As you can see, it still kind of fits.
Yeah, it does.
But it's in honor of the We Don't Need to Whisper album. We'll get into it. Yep. Pink Floyd was a part of the quote-unquote inspiration for the album. So that's why I'm wearing this shirt. And I'm also wearing this hat because the Dolphins are coming back. We're going to make the playoffs and win the Super Bowl. And, yeah, that's that.
Yeah, I forget which person said this. Maybe several of them did. But I know Blink is a fan of Block Party, too. So that's why. I was going to wear a Blink shirt today, and I'm like, no, that doesn't make sense.
Block Party was one of my favorite bands growing up.
Me too.
I loved Block Party.
You said you had this shirt, too.
I had the same shirt.
Yeah.
Yep.
Probably
I got
it. Like Hot Topic or something.
Well, no, I think they were throwing them out at like Warped Tour or something.
Oh, sick.
And I caught a shirt.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, well, that's pretty much it for our news. Let's hop into history, guys. So last episode, we stopped at the end of 2004. This was around the time Blink had finished touring. Tom had been working on new material and demos, which were seemingly for Blink at the time. He had also been campaigning for presidential candidate John Kerry during this time, which we'll learn later was very inspiring for him. And through the end of the year and the beginning of 2005, Tom avoids publicity and spends much of his time alone in his home studio, which he affectionately calls Neverpants Ranch, before gathering musicians to form a new project, unbeknownst to the band at the time, but...
Neverpants Ranch.
So, early 2005, in February 22nd, 2005 to be specific, Blink announced their indefinite hiatus.
Boo.
And then, from March 2005 until April 2006, Tom and his new friends would be recording at Neverpants Ranch Studio a new album for a new project, which we'll get into.
So in September, after months of avoiding publicity, Tom interviews with Kerrang! Magazine and announces Angels and Airwaves, promising the world's greatest rock and roll revolution of this generation. Mm-hmm. Which I remember when this happened. I was reading that magazine. It's pretty cool. And then in November, Tom gives his first live interview about Angels and Airwaves via Macbeth Footwear's website. Then in December, Angels and Airwaves are featured in alternative press. Shout out to Mike. I love that guy.
And then also in December, in a Rolling Stone podcast, Tom and his new Ava bandmates, David Kennedy, Ryan Sinn, and Adam Willard, discussed the band's formation and music. So basically, Tom gathered a bunch of fucking super musicians that were, rock stars in other groups to create this new project.
The super group.
Ava has gone through a few different lineup changes over the years, but this was the one that it started out with. The OG lineup, which you probably saw, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So David Kennedy, as we know, was from Boxcar Racer, high school friend of Tom's. He was in it. Former Rocket from the Crypt and the Offspring drummer, Adam Willard. And then the Distillers bass guitarist, Ryan Sinn. They would be the OG members of Angels and Airwaves.
AVA.
The group had been described by Tom as more than a band, but more accurately an art project that approaches larger human themes and tackles them in different mediums, or simply a multimedia project. This has been seen in the group's films, live events, and novel approach to a fan-artist interaction. The band says they were mainly influenced by the music of Radiohead and Pink Floyd, combining them with the, I can't say this fucking word, grandiosity. Let
us know if we did that right.
Of U2, which you can hear a lot in like the guitar pedals they use.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like I forget what song it is off the top of my head, but you could hear like the Cure influence as well, a very 80s vibe as well.
I mean, they basically like they had a whole bunch of stuff that was like really long intros, which is like Pink Floyd. So that's where I think they were like coming along. That
and like the multimedia aspect of Pink Floyd as well, you
right?
know? So
and then also Radiohead used a lot of different like effects. So did U2. So like I could see how there's a lot of those influences in it, even though it doesn't sound just like it.
Yeah,
it's not always going to be on the nose. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, and it shouldn't be. I definitely think, because I was showing my friend the album front to back. I forced them to listen it to me when we were driving in the car the other day, and they had never heard the album before, and to them it's like they could hear the influence from every song. But what was great about Angels and Airwaves, it's very uniquely and distinctly Angels and Airwaves, which is cool, because you know, like you can hear it and be like, that's Angels and Airwaves when you're listening, and you wouldn't, even though it's Tom's iconic recognizable voice, you know it's Angels and Airwaves and not Blink, especially with the first album. So definitely.
So 2006, the band continues to record their debut album through the early part of the year, and Tom continues to speak to press about the band and what's to come. They also announced their first UK shows. And then in March, the music video for Angels and Airwaves song The Adventure is shot and was directed by the Malloys, who also directed First Date in the Rock Show and later on Dance With Me on the One More Time album. Angels and Airwaves announces their first North American tour, which is the one I went to. I was going to wear the shirt, but I don't know where the hell it is. It was actually my first show I ever went to. Did you know that?
Ever?
First show I ever went to.
I didn't know that.
It was Taking Back Sunday, Angels and Airwaves, The Subways, and Head Automatica.
Yeah.
Head Automatica. I can't believe I just remembered that.
Yeah.
And Head Automatica was like, dude, he was so flamboyant. Everybody's like, what that? I'm from Florida, okay? So, and then back then it was different, you know what I mean?
There was so many bands like that, though, so that's surprising.
Yeah.
But if it's your first show, I get it.
It was my first show, but not only that, I'm from Florida. So when I saw it, I was like, who is this guy? You know what I mean? Head Automatica was definitely interesting.
What's their hit again?
Graduation Day and Beating Hearts Baby.
Yeah. Beating Hearts
Baby, baby, is this love for real? They were great. I love them, you know what I mean? First show ever, I was not allowed to go to this show. But my best friend Jose, so his parents let us do whatever we wanted when we were growing up. That was the house where like, hey, I'm sleeping at Jose's house, and we did whatever we wanted, right? Yeah. And so his stepdad Sapito at the time, he this guy was an artist himself out of Venezuela. He drove us to the concert, and my dad was under the impression that he was going to stay with us, and so was I. And so then when we got there, it was me, Ote, and my best friend Kevin, my first drummer. And we got there, and then he's like, all right, see you guys later. And I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah. And all these, it's like, dude, imagine, you know, I'm 14. There's people freaking everywhere. Yeah. And I'm like, are you sure? And he's like, yeah, go. And dude, I was like, hell yeah. And as soon as we walked in, so, you know, in California, Macbeth stuff and like Atticus stuff was like so easy to get because you guys had like the storefronts and stuff. Dude, I had never seen anything Macbeth in my entire life in front of my eyes. And the first thing that happened was they handed me these stickers. And it was these circular pink Macbeth stickers with like the lion on it and stuff. And I was like, dude, there's no way they're just giving me this. Like, it was crazy. And, you know, when you're that young, you have to be in the front. And I freaking, we ran. We were the first people in line. We ran, and people were getting knocked on the floor. We made it all the way to the front, and we grabbed onto the rail, and we didn't move. This also was the day I met the first time I met a rock star. Because I was also extremely into Taking Back Sunday at the time. So this was peak Taking Back Sunday. So believe it or not, this was more of a Taking Back Sunday show than it was an Angels and Airwaves show.
That makes sense, because Taking Back Sunday was a little more established.
Yeah, and they were on top of the world at that time. They were really about to explode. So anyways, first time I met a rock star. So we're like in between bands, and my buddies like waited on the rail so I could piss. And then I'm walking with my friend Jose. Kevin was holding it down. And I'm like, dude, that's the dude from Taking Back Sunday. And nobody even recognized him. Guitar player Eddie was his name. And so, like, and he's with his parents. And so I'm like, that's him, bro. It's got to be him. So I walk up. I'm like, are you in Taking Back Sunday? He's like, yeah, what's up, man? I'm like, no way. How is it? He's like, yeah, nobody ever recognized me because I'm fat. And And dude, it was so cool. I met his parents and everybody, and I was like, oh my god, he gave me a guitar pick. And, you know, obviously this is my first show ever, so I thought, I was like, dude, I'm the luckiest person alive right now, you know? I mean, I could go on and on about this night, but Angels and Airwaves, that show definitely was life-changing for me, because I had just started my first band, seen it actually happen for the first time, you know what I mean? Like, live, I had never been to a show, and I was just like, man, this is where it's at, dude. It was
fucking
incredible.
Awesome. Yeah, I would have killed to go into that. As we know, Matt Rubano
of Taking Back Sunday
is currently in Angels and Airwaves.
And he's my neighbor. What's up,
dude? He's his neighbor.
Yeah.
Tell them a story.
Yeah, okay. So I'll just tell you guys a story. So I was getting my coffee, and I saw this guy. He was wearing a shirt that I thought was pretty cool. I forget what it said. But I was like, hey, dude, what's that shirt? And because it looked like a Misfit shirt. And then he's like, oh, no, it's a studio in San Diego where I record with my band. And he seemed kind of older, so I was like, all right, he's got to be in a pretty good band if he's still in a band and, like, you know, traveling with it. And I'm like, so I didn't really want to ask, but I was like, you know what, fuck it. You know, we're here getting coffee. Like, who's your band? He's like, Angels and Airwaves. I'm like...
Wasn't he like, you might not know
Yeah, he's like, you might not know them, but Angels and Airwaves. And I'm like, are you serious, bro? Like, I'm a huge fan. You know, and then I put two and two together, and I'm like, wait, you were also in Taking Back Sunday. He was playing in the first show I ever saw with Taking Back Sunday. So I actually got to share that memory that I just shared with you with him. We ended up hanging out where we were for an hour, like just talking, and then we exchanged information. I talked to him here and there. Maybe one day we'll have him on the pod. I don't know. I highly doubt that'll happen, but
if he's interested,
that would be really cool. And one day I'll just ask him. I'll be like, dude, just come be on the pod, bro. Come on, just do it. Because he's actually a really, really nice guy.
Yeah, totally, and very talented. I love both Taking Back Sunday and Angels and Airwaves, so it'd be really cool to talk about that.
And he's also just like crazy busy, so yeah.
For sure, absolutely, and yeah, I'm sure there's more in the future going on with Angels and Airwaves that we don't know about. So,
but you know, when Wavy Trees is famous, and you know, and then I'm like, hey, dude, I have this. I just randomly have this Blink-182 Angels and Airwaves Plus 44 podcast. If you want to be on it, then it'll probably happen. So,
there you go.
Yeah.
Boom. So now we're gonna
boom, 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 boom. Those guys are taking over the fucking world.
Fucking crazy.
April, the music video for Angels and Airwaves song The Adventure premieres on MTV.com, and then on MTV a few weeks later. I remember when this video came out, I was so stoked I couldn't wait for it to actually play, because it had been so long since any of them had to, like, it felt like, well, yeah, it's like a couple years.
It felt like a lifetime.
It felt like a lifetime since they released anything, and then also, I was just as big of a Blink fan at that time than I ever was, because, you know, Self-Titled was such a good album. And then I remember being awake in the morning, and then it came on the TV, and I got up, and I was going crazy. My dad's like, dude, everybody's sleeping, you need to stop. Because it was like 5:30 in the morning, and I was just screaming, yeah, Tom's back, yeah.
I think I cried.
Yeah, I might have shed a couple tears, too. And then in April, Angels and Airwaves performs their first show at the Glass House in Pomona, California, which is a cool venue. Been there a few times. You ever been? It's a cool venue. It's right next to the Fox Theater.
And Blink News. The movie Stick It was released in theaters, also in April 2006. So the song Anthem Part 2 is included in the soundtrack and in the movie. In May, I remember hearing about this as a kid, and this seemed to be happening to a lot of artists at the time, and it happened several times to Angels and Airwaves, but a fan hacked Tom's email, I guess, and stole 4 demos. The Adventure being one of them, ended up leaking it onto the radio and like the internet. The Adventure wasn't actually supposed to be their single, it just, because of the leak and the positive reception.
It became it, yeah.
Yeah, and, you know, maybe it was a blessing, because The Adventure is probably the best song on the album.
Yeah, I'd say that it's like the most like mainstream song for sure.
But, like, because it was leaked, or I don't know.
That's a pretty much like the story of all the Blink and like Plus 44 side project stuff. Everything was like leaked at some point, and then that's what like No It Isn't was the Plus 44, you know, we don't want to get into it now, but that was the first single because it was leaked. You know what I mean? And
it was a crazy era for hacking, I guess.
Yeah.
Things just weren't as secure.
Hacking, Napster, yearbooks, Hags, and MTV, and hooking up in hot tubs.
And Room Raiders.
Next.
So, Thank you, hacker. And moving on. May 23rd, Angels and Airwaves' debut album, We Don't Need to Whisper, is released. It was inspired by a mix of both personal developments and global events. And a lot of that went over my head as a kid. I didn't think about like the, relative elements to like what was going on in America and the world. I was too young.
Mm-hmm.
But in an interview, Tom said, "It started when I was traveling with John Kerry on the 2004 presidential campaign. He was slated to lose the caucuses in Iowa, and I stuck with him all the way to the top. To see somebody with that kind of ambition, I had a little bit of an epiphany. Made me wonder what else I was capable of." During production, Tom also studied World War II, which he considered the last great war, clearly a battle between good and evil. He saw America enter a post-war period of prosperity and perceived it as an analogy for the possibilities in his life. The album was encouraged by other personal crises as well, such as Tom's father's diagnosis of leukemia and his brother's deployment to Iraq, which profoundly affected him as well. He often criticized the Iraq War as unnecessary.
You want to hear a crazy story?
Yeah.
So my dad, shot Scott Smith. He was in the Navy for 20-something years.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah. He was a CB, which the CBs are the guys that go in first, went in first in Iraq, and they were the guys that built all the bases. So they're called the CBs because they're the Navy in the sea, mm-hmm. and they're the building bees. They build everything. Mm-hmm. So basically, when the Twin Towers got hit and then all that stuff happened, he was always a reserve.
Mm-hmm.
And because he had a job with FedEx and stuff, but then when it came down to it, they're like, hey, you're on reserve, but now we need you full active duty, and you're going to Iraq or whatever, wherever they were flying to. And so right around that time, my mother had left my father, and so he was a single dad with 2 kids, and so he didn't have to go. And so he got super lucky, obviously, but he really did get lucky because everyone, I grew up with all the guys in his unit, mm-hmm. and all the kids and everything. We had barbecues on the base, all this stuff, and it turns out maybe 5 months into their tour over there, the entire unit got blown up and they all died, and so my dad would be dead, which is crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, so shout out to all those guys who did have to go and leave their families behind. Just going back to World War II, a lot of those guys were drafted.
Yeah,
they didn't want to go. Yeah. Like, they weren't even signed up for the Army or the Navy or whatever. So
yep. That leads us to the music video for the song "The War."
Yeah, that's actually one of my favorite songs on the record.
"The War" is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Lyrically, it's really crazy too. There's a line in it that's like, it says like, "Now the families, all useless bodies, they lay still black and blue, a gift from us to you," which is talking about like America just incessantly bombing and obliterating families, and relevant to this day. And and it's just like, so in his own little poetic way, he was, calling out what we were doing.
Yeah.
And
yeah, definitely.
But
I remember when they did play this song at the concert. It was so sick, and he actually, this was a very 2006 too, was very like, it felt like it was still a pretty patriotic time, mm-hmm. and he brought the American flag out and was just like waving it like this, and it was like, dang, dude, this is so sick. Like Tom was the war was like the peak of the whole set, you know what I mean? Like, and it's only, I think it's like song 7 on the album.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't really a single. I mean, was it? I don't think it was.
I think "The War" is one of this. There was 4 singles. Yeah, it was. So it was "The War," "Do It For Me Now," "It Hurts," and "The Adventure."
Okay, cool. Yeah, makes sense because it's such a good song.
It is such a good song. But yeah, I mean, overall, like, yes, the album is a lot about war, but I think it's kind of meant to just serve as like hope, and that's why. Actually, interesting, I learned this as well, that Obama would use "The Adventure" during his campaign speeches as like a motivator for like hope, because Obama's whole campaign slogan was hope, and like so obviously he this album is seen as something that is meant to be hopeful.
And the chorus of "The War" is, "Why won't you tell me that this?
Why won't you tell me that it's almost over? Why must this tear my head inside out?" Yeah. I mean, even the songs that are, about dark, scary things. He's trying to like, it's
Find
a lot
hope.
about God too, and like, shining light and whatever. And it's beautiful. I don't know. It's like an art piece in my opinion. Just the album.
The whole album
Which I
is
think was his
freaking
point.
perfect, dude.
Yeah.
So perfect.
Yeah. So the remainder of the year into 2007 consisted of tours, and in early 2007, the supergroup retreated to the studio to work on the follow-up album. So we'll get into that not next episode. Next episode's plus 44.
Right. Yeah, but we
think
will get there. We will get
into
We
I
will get
Empire,
there.
which is also an amazing album. You want to talk about the album reception?
It reached number 4 on the Billboard 200. It went gold in both the US and Canada. Despite this success, critics gave generally mixed reviews, with one noting that while well-intentioned, the band failed to reach the lofty heights into which they aspired to reach, especially in light of claim made by DeLong that the album would be greatest rock and roll revolution for this generation. Yet later that year, popularity picked up the release of singles The War, Do It For Me Now, and It Hurts. 3 of the 4 singles reached the top 20 on the Modern Rock Tracks chart, with The Adventure peaking at number 5. But I think something we missed here is, and it was very controversial.
What?
Is that I think he said it was like going to be like better than The Coming of Christ or something. He brought religion into it. Mm-hmm. We have to look this up.
Yeah.
And like put it up here.
It's very public news that Tom has said many times he was also struggling with a painkiller addiction.
Yeah. So
and
that's
I think
what
a lot of like his statements came from that place.
Yeah. Totally. And he's come out and said that too.
Yeah. So I don't ever like to talk about air dirty laundry, but I think that had a lot to do with. I don't think he's like an ego guy by any means. I really do think he thought it was going to be amazing.
He was kidding. Like he was
a
joking.
Joke
Yeah. He wasn't serious.
Okay.
But everybody but the way that he's probably loaded on painkillers or like on the amount he's supposed to take, and then he just said it not thinking it would create this crazy freaking backlash. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, that's wild, dude. But AVA would be nominated for the TV Music Video Awards of the year.
Yeah, they were all for The Adventure.
And they were all for The Adventure. Yep.
They were all nominations. I don't think they won anything, but it's still great to be nominated. A comment he did make as well is that he wanted it to be an album that like people look back at 20 years and like remember it. And he said something a little bit more out there than that, but I agree. I mean, I think it's something that it is almost 20 years later, and I'm looking back at it like, goddamn, that was a good album. So
yeah, dude.
So now we'll get into the
track list.
Yeah, guys, this is one of those records that like is truly like pretty much from start to finish and no skips.
It's like a rock opera. It's a conceptual album. Well, let's start off from the top. Okay, yeah. Valkyrie Missile.
Mm-hmm. So it's a huge long intro with the guys talking on like the space walkie-talkies saying whatever the hell they're saying.
Yeah. Angels
and it opens by saying, Everyone will listen, even if it hurts sometimes. Which, that made my friend that I showed this album to kind of crack up, because I was literally giving her this podcast episode, basically like going through the album. So I was like, he was saying all these statements about it, and like the first line is, everyone will listen. Yeah. She's literally like, oh God. But as it went on, she's like, this is really unique and good.
But yeah, Valkyrie Missile, I remember when I first got the CD, I hadn't heard that song yet, and I'd only heard obviously The Adventure.
Yeah,
and then and I put it on and I'm like, and it just starts off very spacey, and like it's they're talking back and forth, and then there's this guitar riff,
it's like everything we are, we're angels in airwaves.
Yeah, like
happening while that's happening. It really sets the tone for the album and prepares you for what to expect.
Which is next,
Distraction. So this one, I've always loved this song, but I've never really dove deep into the lyrics, and it's clear it's about like this war-torn place where the protagonist, assumingly Tom or whoever he's writing about, to be kind of a positive distraction among the chaos that was happening in that world, whatever world that is. But in a bigger sense, and kind of like the theme of the album is he's suggesting that love is more powerful than hate.
Yes,
it's beautiful. I love that song. It for a long time was one of my favorites.
I'll be your distraction.
There's a feeling there,
boy, written in stone. My love will not die.
Also, something my friend said as well, listening to this album is that Tom's voice is better suited for Angels and Airwaves than Blink in a way. And it's because like he can use all those vocal effects and it just kind of like fits nicely.
Well, yeah, it's all because he started doing a new kind of thing.
Yeah.
And now he's trying to put it into Blink, and sometimes it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Totally.
Really nice with Ava though, for sure.
Do It For Me Now.
This is probably my favorite presently.
Really?
So fucking good.
Won't you do it for me now?
It's like panning back and forth. Now.
I remember the music video for this.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So I can't really find concrete proof of this online, but there was several different people who said the song originated from a beat that Tom had made for this rapper, Talib Kweli, who turned it down, and then the Morse code beat that you hear was later adapted and, made what the fuck it sounds like in this song. And he obviously changed the vibe. And yeah, and it's funny because in this song, he kind of sounds like he's rapping. We were talking about this.
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
Kind of like talk rapping in it. But it sounds great. It's a good flow. Fucking love that song.
Then we have The Adventure. The song was motivated by a friend whose marriage was falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
It offers hope and helps one embrace life for all the ups and downs. The track was also played in the crowd warm-up session before Barack Obama's presidential rallies, but also it was played in San Diego when they walked off stage, remember?
Oh, yeah.
That Mark surprised them?
Yeah. So, yeah.
That was so sick because we thought they were going to play it.
Yeah. They already had walked off the stage and did their encore, but...
The whole crowd thought that too, though.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's another thing that somebody asked Mark today on the Twitch stream. They're like, would you ever play an Angels and Airwaves song on stage?
What did he say?
Well, he got confused. So at first he's like, we've done that a million times. And then, like, literally 5 minutes later, people just kept saying, like, no, you don't. Like, what are you talking about? Like, what the hell are you talking about? Because they were like, you have? Like, they were mind blown. And then somebody corrected him, like, you meant Boxcar Racer. And he's like, fuck, yeah, I meant Boxcar Racer. Sorry. And he's like, but I would do an Angels and Airwaves song. He said that.
He likes Ava.
Yeah, he does. He actually is a fan. So that'd be cool.
Little's Enough.
Also a great song.
This is one of my favorites, too.
So this one you could tell it's got like a religious theme, apparently about God coming to bring positive change on Earth when it faces terrorism, war, and famine.
I'm sorry I have to say it, but you look like you're sad. Your smile is gone. I notice it bad. The cure is if you let in just a little more love. I promise you this, a little's enough.
That was definitely my favorite at one point.
Yeah.
They all take turns, depends.
Yeah, it's different eras. Depends on where you're at in your life, really.
Totally. The war, we talked a little bit about this, but it explores the devastating consequences of war, possibly about the Iraq War, highlighting the loss of innocence, the destruction of communities, and the emotional turmoil experienced by those caught in the crossfire. Yeah. Great song. Sad song. Encourage you to read the lyrics yourself. Very vivid imagery he paints. The
next song, The Gift, is another one of my favorites.
Another kind of religious song.
Yeah, The Gift is really good.
The one's like, now I'll stop the storm if it rains.
I'll light a path far from here. I'll make you feel melt away. And the world we know disappear. Yeah, good song. It Hurts is... I love every single one of these songs.
Yeah, It Hurts is also fucking good.
Your
hurts. Best friend is
not your girlfriend. I never understood that.
Yeah, it kind of doesn't fit with the song's lyrics.
I feel like I'd love to know what you were talking about. Because, I remember thinking, your best friend's supposed to be your girlfriend.
I think that one was also kind of about the cheating girlfriend.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, it might have just been he was talking about something else too, kind of at the same time. I don't know. It's a good song though. Whatever.
And he also brings a callback to the war in that song too.
Does he?
Does you want this?
Oh.
But he does it in a different way.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the song that he does.
Could be, yeah. Good Day. Another positive one.
Like today.
I think it's good. Something I can get my head around. Da 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 da. That one's good. That one has never been a favorite, but I do like it.
I still listen to that song to this day.
I listen to this whole album still, but
if I'm having a good day, I put in Good Day. I put this song on my stream sometimes. And I'm like, today's a good day, and then I just put the song on and everybody's like, who the hell is this? I'm like, Angels and Airwaves, duh.
George? Wait, no,
that's Charity. not a CD. Now he's trying him.
It's still laying on my scarf.
Yeah. See, so now he's asking for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so this is actually pretty cool. So I had always listened to all of it, and then Start the Machine I didn't like because it had the little kid's toy. And when I had first heard it, I was like, this is fucking stupid. Next.
Apparently it was like a toy Tom had found that was meant for his daughter or something.
Yeah. It's one of those little toy.
Yeah.
So I didn't like it, and then one day I was sleeping and or like going to sleep, and I woke up to it on because your CD player would just keep going and playing it over and over, and I woke up to after that part to like middle of the song of Start the Machine, and I'm like, what song is this? And then I realized it was Start the Machine, and I'm like, oh dude, this is like my favorite song now. I made it past that, phase of like, oh, I don't like the intro.
Yeah.
And I freaking love this song, Start the Machine.
If love's a word that you say.
Say it, I will listen.
Yeah, it just ties in the theme of the whole album, and it's a very good outro song, I think.
Oh, yeah,
and
very good.
Start the Machine would be the name of the 2008 documentary that Tom would put out about this album.
And the making of it.
Yeah.
With Critter.
Yeah. Then there's some bonus tracks. So the international bonus track was Do It For Me Now, live from Fuse. UK bonus tracks, The Machine and Do It For Me Now, live from Fuse as well. iTunes bonus track was The Adventure, live from Whisper Studio. The Walmart bonus track was It Hurts, live from Fuse.
Walmart got It Hurts, that's funny.
We Don't Need to Whisper acoustic EP, which actually was released in 2017, so years and years later, but it included Valkyrie Missile acoustic, Distraction acoustic, Do It For Me Now acoustic, and The Adventure acoustic. Also, it's fucking crazy because I was just listening on Apple Music to the album, the streaming version, and it includes a live it includes a live The Adventure one. Maybe it's this live from Whisper Studio. I don't know, but the fucking live version might as well be a recorded version.
Yeah.
It sounds so fucking good. It's crazy. Credits. We obviously have Tom, David Kennedy on lead guitar, keyboards, and synthesizers. Ryan Sinn, bass guitar and backing vocals, and Adam Willard on drums and percussion. I will say this too, Tom was also doing keyboards at this time, which is cool because he's usually just guitar and vocals. Additional musicians, Roger Joseph Manning Jr., who did keyboards. This was also big for Tom because this was the first record he produced. So that was awesome. Executive producer was Jordan Schur. Tom Lord Alge was the mixing engineer. Jeff Critter Newell was assistant producer, programmer, photographer, mixing engineer on The War. Danny Lohner was an assistant producer, programmer on Distraction. Doug Reish, guitar bass technician. Shiloh did the artwork. And Brian Gardner was the mastering engineer. You'll recognize a lot of these names from Blink. You worked with a lot of the same people.
So I'll say something here. So you see how Critter, assistant producer, programmer, all that stuff?
Yeah.
He's the genius behind Angels Airwaves.
Why?
He was basically the hands-on guy every single day. He actually passed not too long ago. Critter is one of the greatest, they call it, I don't know why he's an assistant producer, but that's why I never pay attention to all this stuff, bro, because some of these things, people want more credit than they deserve.
We don't know, the contribution of each. Some of the bigger titles can have barely contributed in their
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, exactly.
Yeah.
But Critter, that dude, and if you watch Start the Machine, the documentary, you'll see Critter is the guy. We should do a watch of it. I'm down. I'm down. We're going to do it.
We're going to do it. We said it.
Because I haven't seen it in a long time, so it'd be cool to watch it again.
Same. If I have seen it, it was a million years ago.
By the way, in other news, I was talking to Brandon from Cut You Up, and I think we're going to set up a Wavy Trees Cut You Up show. They have a new band, but I'm going to try to convince him to get Cut You Up back together for it. Because it's the same members of Cut You Up, but also Cut You Up's not the OG band at all anyways. His new band is called Sunbender, and it consists of him, Chris Cote, and I'm pretty sure OG drummer Brandon as well. Brandon Rosh, I believe. So they've been their new songs are great. You should check them out. They're called Sunbender. But we were talking because when we were playing in San Diego, I was like, "Yo, come to the show," because me and him are friends. And he's like, "Dude, I have a show over here, but let's set up LA with Wavy." I'm like, "Let's do it." So To be continued, but it's gonna happen. We're gonna do this shit. Yeah.
Okay, and then last time we talked about doing fan-submitted questions, answering some fan questions. I posted several times on the Instagram asking people for trivia questions, and a lot of people asked a bunch, but a lot of them are more relevant to later albums, so I'll save those for then.
Okay.
But then they just kind of asked, like, we could just have these discussion questions that people had asked. I thought this one was interesting. What Blink song could have been an Ava song and vice versa? I feel like probably like Asthenia or like Not Now.
Yeah,
because they're a little bit more like spacey. I think those could have been an Ava song. We're just talking sound, not like who wrote it, whatever.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
I think those could be Ava song, confused for Ava songs. And Ava song that could be a Blink song. Honestly, nothing on We Don't Need to Whisper. It's all so new sounding that I can't even really.
No, I don't think any Ava could have.
Later Ava stuff, yes, but
Yeah.
we're
Nothing
not
on We
really.
Don't Need to Whisper though.
Yeah, like maybe like Ava's newer album sounds like newer Blink, but absolutely nothing Ava has ever done sounds like old Blink, which is good. I mean, that's a good thing. But it's interesting. I don't know. I liked that question.
That's a good one.
Yeah. What was your first reaction to Ava?
Fucking excited.
From the start, I was like, yes.
Yeah, I
was not
always loved
skeptical
it.
at all.
I never had an issue with it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the first Ava song I heard, The Adventure.
Yeah, The Adventure. Yep.
Now we're gonna do my crossword. I made it and I know the answers, so I'm not gonna do it. But we're gonna watch Zach do it.
Okay.
So yeah, it's mobile friendly. Most people do it on their phone. I get all the analytics, so I know. It's the same company, the crossword company that does like pretty much all the major news outlets crosswords. So it's very legit and very like mobile compatible.
You sent it to me, right? Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, here it is.
So I'll have it up here so you can see as well.
I promise you this, a little's enough. In 2008, AVA performed in an episode of what TV drama? Next. AVA made a part 2 to which Boxcar Racer song?
It's not on. We Don't Need to Whisper.
Oh, it's not on We Don't Need to
Yeah.
Whisper, then I probably don't know. I'm blowing this already. What Ava song did Mark Hoppus remix? I actually
You can
might
just
not be very
go,
good at this.
Like next to do
Oh,
the
wow.
next things,
Okay,
yeah.
that's cool. In 2014, the band released an animated short film called... I don't know any of this. Song leaks the internet. That's The Adventure, right? Or that's too short. Dude, I don't know any of this. Featured in Tony, I don't know. Ava played every location for this traveling festival, the Warped Tour. Yeah, that looks like it's it. Ava's first EP, stoning the... Yeah, I have no idea. Yeah, I'm not good with this one, guys. I am an original fan, but this is way too hard for me. I'm sorry. I give up.
Give it a try, guys.
It's okay if you don't know.
Yeah, a lot of people
Yeah.
struggled with it. It was not easy. Neither was my Blink crossword I did.
The Blink crossword was easier for me because I know a lot more about Blink history.
Yeah, I could probably do easier ones and also more like album-specific ones and stuff. I'm going to run out of material eventually, so they're going to get easier over time. But give them a try. Let us know on Instagram how you did on the crosswords. They're really fun, even if you're bad at it.
I completely failed.
Thank you so much for watching, guys. Thanks for all your feedback on the internet. I will keep doing my little crosswords, and we'll keep finding fun ways to stay interactive with you guys. Next episode will be on Plus 44. That'll be a fun one.
All
Stay
right, guys.
tuned for that.
Stay tuned.
And remember, we don't need to whisper. I stole your joke.
And love is all you need.
Love is all you need. Bye.
Bye.